how's practice been like for her, and kind of what's her status for tomorrow?
It's been good. I think she's working her way back, and I felt like today was better than yesterday in terms of just movement and balance and feeling like she's getting back into rhythm, timing, all of those things. And as long as we don't have any regression, she's going to be ready to roll.
What kind of regression do you look like? Just with swelling or?
Yeah, for me, it's just listen to the training staff. I mean, if there's swelling, if there's any sort of carryover in terms of the injury, but there hasn't been, and so I don't anticipate there being. So she was good.
And with Sophie as well, how is she progressing in terms of playing?
Yeah, I think she's going to be ready to roll as well. Sophie looked really good. Her timing was good. Getting back into game rhythm and timing is the most important thing, and then being able to change directions. I thought she looked good. She's had really good workouts throughout the course of the week, and then it's just been reintegrating into live action. So they both look good.
DB has been out for these past days for personal reasons. Just how is she doing? Do you anticipate her being here tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's doing as well as she can be. We're going to continue to support her and giving her the time that she needs. I don't anticipate her being here tomorrow. And we'll just, with her right now, it's supporting her and giving her what she needs and taking it one day at a time.
Because you've had so many injuries and in and out, is tomorrow almost like starting over in some respects?
In some ways, yeah. It's really reintegrating, two of our top 6 players, right? Reintegrating them back into the system. Some of the things that we run will look different than without Caitlin on the floor, certainly. Sophie's versatility and being able to play in multiple positions. So it is like starting day one again and really regrouping in terms of gelling with this group. And I thought, again, just from yesterday to today, it looked much better. So growing it quickly is going to be important for us.
Tomorrow, of course, a pretty easy day one.
Yeah, right.
Really good one to ease back into.
Yeah.
What do you see from them? They're obviously just, they picked up where they left off and took off from there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're WNBA champions. They've got Olympians. They've got veterans. They play within themselves. They play within the system. They understand one another. They're able to make some in-game adjustments based on personnel because they know where one another's going to be. And they're a really good defensive team. And Natasha Cloud gives them an added dimension. She gives them that added dimension in terms of the true point guard on the floor, her toughness, her defensive energy. She sets the tone on the defensive end. And another one who's been there, right? She's been through the battles. She's had experience. She's won championships. And so she really adds to an already pretty incredible core.
With Caitlin and Sophie potentially coming back tomorrow, that means you'll have to release
Yeah.
Gary. Just how is she impressed over these past few games? How do you hope she can find the spot somewhere?
She's going to find a spot. That's not that. I don't think that's a debate right now. She's been the ultimate pro. She came in ready to go. She had watched, such a large amount of film just on her flight in here that you could tell already her high IQ. She's a dog, and we're going to miss her certainly. What she brought to the table for us and being able to come in at the point guard position and just really impact us right away was huge. But yeah, she's not going to have a problem finding a job.
Coach, I just got here, so I'm not sure what's been asked already. What do you think you've learned about your team and their ability to just adjust in the last 2 weeks?
Well, they're resilient. They're a resilient group. They're a competitive group. We learned that from day one of training camp with just their ultimate competitiveness. They've been thrown to the fire early. These young players have, and they understand what it takes. And to go through what we've gone through already with injuries and setbacks and all the hardships and all the other things, to still come in every day with this kind of energy, this kind of competitive spirit, shows the character of this group.
And I know that you guys have been trying to adjust some things defensively. Where would you say you guys are at now?
I think we're still very low level. I felt like we're really improving prior to the injuries, and then we're playing people for probably longer periods of time, in different positions than we would have liked, on different matchups than we probably would have liked. So I think that took us a step back. And now that we are reintegrating Sophie and Caitlin in particular, it allows us to get back to matchups, to get back to really managing how long periods of time people are having to play. So I feel like we're, again, starting maybe at ground zero again and trying to work our way back up.
So I know that one of the things that you said from Caitlin first, when you guys first announced that she'd be sitting out, is that she's going to be able to learn the game in a different way and do different things. How do you think that she's seen the game differently now that she's been out?
I think she notices trends a little bit more. We had her keeping track of some stuff on the sideline, and one of the things, especially as a point guard, is to understand when we've gone 3 or 4 possessions and we haven't got a high quality shot, or they've gone 3 or 4 possessions and scored and we haven't been able to answer it. It's not just always coming down and getting the first shot. It's how do we get the best shot? How do we get a bucket when we know we need a bucket? And starting to recognize some of those things, starting to recognize mismatches, switches, how defenses are playing us, because you can see it differently from the sideline than you see it and sense it on the floor. And so just having an opportunity to sit back for the last 3 or 4 weeks, however long it's been, and see that, I think is going to help her when she gets back on the floor.
You said you're not patient. How long have these 5 games been? How happy are you that you're 26 hours away from it being over?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's definitely been a process. I think the hardest part is when you begin to feel really good, and then it's just a process of working yourself back into actually getting up and down, and getting out there with my teammates. And obviously that can be a little difficult at the same time when they're prepping for other games that I know I'm not going to be available in. But I think the medical staff, I have to give them a lot of credit. I think they did a really good job, and just have tried to control my mindset the whole time that I've been out and learn from the bench. I think it can teach you a lot of different things, and yeah, it was certainly a learning opportunity, and I think it's going to benefit me, a lot throughout my career, just falling back and understanding, certain moments like this. But I'm super, super excited. I'm antsy to get out there and probably shake off a little bit of rust and play.
Were you targeting this game just because it is the Liberty, it's national TV and all those things?
I mean, not necessarily. I think it's, obviously I wanted to be back as soon as possible, but with this type of injury, it's just kind of like a day-to-day thing to see how I feel and see how my body responds to, everything that we're doing. And, honestly, over the course of the 2 weeks, I responded really, really well, which was positive. It's sometimes hard to tell exactly, how many layers of your quad were, tore up a little bit. So you just kind of go with the flow and see how it feels. But, obviously this is a really big game for us coming off of a loss and still, in the standings for Commissioner Cup if we can find a way to win tomorrow.
Kayla, what was the barrier for your return, whether that was pain, conditioning, things like that?
I mean, there was imaging done to tell that my leg is okay. We're not guessing, we're not going off of feeling. So I can find confidence in that we know we weren't able to find anything or see anything, and that was kind of my all clear. I knew I was feeling really good, so that wasn't a surprise by any means, that it looked that way when we had the imaging done. But yeah, I mean, I felt really good, and then honestly, just sprinting as change of direction and sprinting in the game of basketball, that's, the biggest part of it. So me feeling comfortable to be able to do those type of things and those type of movements, and I've been doing that for a little bit now, and I feel really confident in that. So after we saw the imaging, I was good to go.
This is the first time you've had to ramp back up in season after an injury, and I guess the first time you've had an injury in 5 years. Just what has that experience been like, just ramping back up in season?
Yeah, I think it's just having the mindset of, I don't need to make up for lost time, just being patient and getting back into the flow of things, getting back into the flow of playing with my team. We changed a little bit of what we did on offense when I was out, just certain actions that we had to be more intentional in, just because, we didn't play out of pick and roll as much, because that's what I like to do. And, some of my teammates, that's not their best strength. They have other strengths, so playing to those strengths more. So just getting back into the flow of doing some of those types of things. But I think just getting out there and just continuing to build my chemistry with my teammates and playing fast, playing up tempo, I think that's going to be the best for us.
What was your treatment, rehab? What did all that look like?
Yeah, I mean, anything under the sun I basically did. A lot of needling, a lot of, when you do treatment and rehab, you're still lifting. You're almost lifting heavier than probably what I would be doing on a day like today when preparing for a game. Just trying to strengthen my muscles, my left leg and my right leg. Literally anything I tried it, red light therapy, hyperbaric oxygen chamber, we do it all. And the same goes even when I'm feeling healthy, that's a big part of it, massages, everything. So just being very intentional about that. And now that I do feel good, still staying on top of that and continuing to do that so I don't have any sort of setbacks, I think is going to be really important.
Okay, so you said you learned a lot while you were sitting out.
Yeah.
Stuff that you were going to carry throughout your career. What exactly did you learn?
I think for us, as a whole group, is there's certain things in games that we have to be able to see a little bit faster and earlier in the games, depending how they're guarding us, how they're guarding certain actions, things we're doing in coverage that maybe aren't working, and how can we manipulate that? How can we put people in certain screening actions to get exactly what we want. Because, you come into a game, you have a scouting report, you have a game plan, but it's not always going to be exactly what you think. And it's obviously easier on the side. And I was talking to quite a few of my teammates. I'm like, I know it's so hard. Like when I'm out on the bench, it's easier for me to just process the action of what's going on. When you're in the game and you have the ball in your hands, you're thinking about so many different things. You're trying to dribble, you're trying to drive, you're trying to pass, you're looking for your teammates, you're thinking about shooting. So it's hard to really, look at the game from the whole perspective of everybody on the floor. And I think that's a lot easier when you're out. So I think it also just shows, give your teammates grace. There's a lot that's going on within, the action of being up and down, and just reminding myself, I have to be out there to help them as much as I can as a point guard.
What do you remember from the last time you played the Liberty?
I think we started off a little bit slow. Our defense was pretty bad in the first half. I think we really turned it around in the second half. I think our scouting report is going to be really important. I thought we were poor in that area the last time we played them. We didn't execute schemes in the way we wanted to, and obviously they pose quite a bit of a challenge with the lineups that they have, with everybody that can shoot 1 through 5, and then you got Stewie at the 4. So we'll try a lot of different things. It's just making sure everybody's on the same page and continuing to communicate. They're going to be physical, and I think just continuing to be intentional about who exactly we want in certain actions that we're running on offense, so we can get the looks that we need.
Your neighbors here are 2 wins from the rain.
Yeah, happy for them.
Is that right now?
Yeah, it's incredibly exciting. I'm just really happy for them. I don't think Rick gets, enough credit for what he's been able to do. Obviously, one of the best coaches of all time. Has a great basketball mind, and the way they play basketball is not, not a lot of people still play that way in today's world. And I think young kids, if you watch basketball, you turn on and watch the Pacers. It's unselfish. They play for each other. They play fast. They play up tempo. They do things the right way. Whether you're a starter or whether you're coming off the bench, you're giving everything you can to your team, and it's really fun to watch. And more than anything, they're just really great people, and they're good guys. So yeah, I've been really, really fortunate to be here during this time. So hopefully they can finish it out in 5, because I won't be able to come for Game 6. So I'll have to make an appearance tonight, even though we play at 3. I'll be there at least for a little bit. So hopefully they can win tonight as well.
Thank you.